We all fall down. But only a few choose to get back up. A few depersonalize failure. A few understand that falling is the cost of greatness. See, your reality is not what happens to you. Your reality is how you internalize what happens to you. Are obstacles stop signs? Or are they checkpoints along the way to something greater? Checkpoints that make you stronger, build you up, become your armor. That is ultimately the difference. What we misinterpret in life is the meaning behind that difficulty, that pain, that suffering. No one gets a pain-free life. No one gets a free ride. Suffering is inevitable. As Nietzsche says, to live is to suffer, to survive is to find meaning in the suffering. And what's changed my life, and I don't mean here and there, I mean truly transformed the course and trajectory of what's possible, is simply redefining that which is difficult. I grew up watching the Kobes and the Bradys of the world. I remember thinking, how do these guys get better when things get difficult? I mean, as a kid, I could feel the pressure watching from the couch, but they somehow elevate themselves when the odds are stacked against them. Same exact situation that causes most to doubt, to run, to lose their self-belief. What they see that eludes most is that in every pressing moment, there's opportunity. Every loss has something to gain. In every failure, there is victory. Everyone has the same rule book. It's just that some people only see what is right in front of them. Others learn to read between the lines and create outcomes that have not yet arrived. When things are hard or challenging or uncertain, it's not that you should keep going. It's that you must keep going. Everything good, everything rewarding, worth having is on the other side of that struggle. Everything meaningful is built from the days you felt like there was no possible way to move on, but did anyway. That is the core of greatness. Carrying forward when it would have been easier not to. When you feel the hurt, the emotional turmoil, and I get it, we all do, but beyond that feeling, what are you willing to see? Beyond the ashes, what are you willing to build? What are you willing to do with those pieces? Because it can be nothing or it can be everything. It all depends on how you choose to step back and look at the world. Your perspective becomes the roadmap for your reality. So understand that feeling down or lost is normal, but staying down is a choice. There are no problems. There are stepping stones, the very situations that make you who you are. The little decisions that over time equip you to step up when it matters most. When the pressure's on, the odds are against you, the rest of the world says no. No matter how hard it gets, there is an answer. Rise above the emotion, the chaos, the present moment, and see the big picture. Not only will you survive, you will be better because of this. Because you kept moving forward when it wasn't easy. No matter how hard life got, you never lost sight of the opportunity. And that made all the difference. Little hinges swing big doors. It's a quote by W. Clement Stone, and it essentially means that the small things we do open the door to the big things in life. Mountains are made of single rocks. Oceans are single waves. Symphonies are individual notes. Conversations are individual words. Progress is nothing more than the ability to break big things down into small things. That's it. And those manageable pieces, day in and day out, they become the roadmap to accomplish whatever it is you set out to accomplish. And I love the metaphor of a door, right? The simplicity. It's just a door. But without that little hinge, it doesn't function the same. It'd be impossible to open and close. It would be far less useful, all because of this little hinge. This trivial little thing. It's an afterthought. It's a small detail hidden behind the main attraction, which is one of life's greatest truths. We see and we celebrate the obvious things, the big things, the mountaintops. We do so to the extent that we forget the extraordinary is just a product of the tiny, uncool, unsexy, unremarkable actions and decisions. We forget what swings the door open. So why is this valuable? Well, when you personally can identify and control the little things in your life, it becomes greatly apparent that nothing is truly out of reach. All options are open. And it's not because of destiny or magic or the fact that anyone deserves anything. No, it's simply realizing that every great accomplishment occurs one step at a time, and that's all. Anyone can take a single step. Anyone can write a single word. And when you break down the greats, that's what they say, right? Kobe talks about breaking his day into consistent, measurable sessions at the gym. Schwarzenegger talks about building his body one rep at a time. Will Smith talks about the methodical practice, the preparation he takes, one line at a time. These are hinges. They happen to open the door to NBA records. They open the door to, becoming the world's strongest man. They open the door to Hollywood success. And let's take it even deeper. Personally, I can identify smaller things off the top of my head that have a 10x multiplier on my day. Right? For me, there's a direct correlation between waking up early and being successful. A successful, productive, happy day. Because I jump out of bed, I feel good, and it carries through. It's a very simple equation. When I get up early, my day's better. Small thing, huge impact. Right? Or having good, healthy food in my fridge makes me feel good. It means I don't rush out to get food somewhere at the last minute. I can plan and I eat well and I feel better. Being around productive, high energy, positive people makes me perform well, period. Causes me to level up. When I remove the negativity, when I surround myself with success, I grow. When I do the opposite, I rationalize mediocrity. It's that simple. These simple things have exponential impact on my journey. They are, you could say, the smallest of hinges, and they've played and continue to play a role in opening some of the largest doors I've walked through. The challenge is that, it's easy to brush them off as insignificant or trivial because they are so small. That's always been the obstacle, illuminating and quantifying their value. But when that light bulb sort of goes off, it's a remarkable transition, right? The differentiator for me between waking up at 5:30 and 8, it's not 2.5 hours. That's not the value. The value is the momentum. It's getting my first win before the world wakes up and embodying that success. At the end of the day, it's mediocrity versus growth. That's just how I am. That's how I feel. That is my tiny hinge. That is my advantage. Now, obviously, those are going to vary, right? Not everyone needs to wake up early. But I would advocate finding what makes you tick, finding that little hinge, paying attention, seeking out simple steps that have tremendous impact. Whether it's consistency, who you spend your time with, the courage to take a single step, try something new. These are seeds that often become the difference. You don't get substantial results without mastering the pieces that create the foundation. And when you remember what actually makes that door open, you put yourself in a position to walk through it. Today, we're going to talk about keeping your head in the clouds and your feet on the ground, simultaneously managing the big picture and the small stuff. Non-stop belief that things will work, that there's an answer, that you're ultimately going to get there, and that you won't quit until you do, while also being brutally honest with the facts on the floor, the reality around you. A lot of times, I think there's a tendency to conflate positivity with a detachment from reality. But they're very different things. Right? You need them both for success to unfold. You need the big picture, and you need the minutia, the steps, the little things that add up over time. In the book Good to Great, Jim Collins calls this the Stockdale Principle, where Admiral Stockdale, I think at the time Commander Stockdale was shot down during Vietnam. He was prisoner of war for over 7 years in Vietnam, and it was just obviously a brutal experience. And, one of the things that helped him survive was being painfully pragmatic, while also knowing in his soul, right, with every ounce of his being, that he would ultimately get out, that the men he cared about and helped so much would ultimately get out. And so when Jim Collins is interviewing him, he says, Admiral Stockdale, what differentiated the ones that made it and the ones that didn't? And the answer is incredibly surprising. He says optimism. Because the people that were overly optimistic said we'll get out by Christmas. And Christmas comes and they don't get out. And then they say, okay, well fine, we'll be out. We'll see our families by Easter. And Easter comes and they're still there. Okay, maybe next Christmas. Next Christmas comes, nothing changes. He says those are the people that died of a broken heart. There was too big of a gap between the reality, the components needed to progress the way they wanted to progress and the way they were thinking. You have to be willing to look in the mirror and diagnose a situation. That's applicable to business, it's applicable to your personal life. Dream big, step small. Believe, but act. Be cognizant of the world around you, the reality that you're living in. You can't change something that you don't understand intrinsically. You can't progress if you haven't analyzed something. And this is not about your capabilities. This is never a call to doubt yourself. It's to be strategic. This is just saying that you need to understand the realities so that you can improve upon them. If you want to be the next Michael Jordan, that's a huge ask. That's a lot. It's possible. You can do it. And you need to believe with every ounce of you that if that's what you want to do, it's a pursuit, worth taking. But you also need to know what it means to be Michael Jordan. You got to understand the commitment, how he sacrificed relationships. He sacrificed, his friends, his love life. He got up every single morning. All he did was basketball. How he took thousands of shots a day. how his mentality and his aggressive behavior, right? His mindset, the way he looked at life and approached life on and off the court, it required that he was so intense and so obsessed with winning that some people couldn't handle it. It meant that everything stopped except being the best. That's a big ask. A lot of people can't do that, don't want to do that. But that's what it takes. And to think you're going to be Michael Jordan without understanding, one, the commitment that's required and how you stack up, it's going to be in vain. I remember the CEO of the company that I worked for right out of college, he used to say, look, you have to be able to be honest and say when your baby's ugly, right? Look at what you have and be able to draw a line from where you want to be so you can fix it. So that's the point. If you can juggle those two things, you will be unstoppable. Unstoppable. If you can be the one to trust yourself enough to know that there is a big picture, you will pursue it relentlessly and you will get there. If you can take that and you can marry it to the little things, right, to the awareness, to promising yourself that you will continue to analyze, assess, and do what needs to happen on the ground, that you will be realistic, you will be pragmatic. When things fail, you won't sugarcoat it. You'll dive in. You'll look at why it failed so that you can pick up those pieces and build something stronger and continue to build, stack, and stand on what you've made. Those are the people that change the world. Those are the people that get things done, that get results. Dream big, step small. See you tomorrow. Do you believe? Do you believe that this world is yours? That space and that time are trustworthy passengers on your journey? Do you believe in the unseen? That what we know and what we don't, what's possible and impossible, they're not so different. They just need to be connected. Do you believe that one person can be the difference? That courage is a choice, and that if you have something to say, not saying it is a tragedy? Do you believe in your resilience? That when your back is against the wall, that when all seems lost, when everything is in doubt, we are presented an opportunity to evolve into something more? Do you believe that there is a way? That when the road ends, there is another path? That when you can't go around, you can go through? And when you can't go through, you can go over? Do you believe that the darkness before you is merely the absence of light? A light waiting to be created, brought to life? That nothing is meant to be, any void can be filled, and you are in fact the architect of that light. See, what you have before you, it's no easy path. It's not the simple one, or perhaps even the one you asked for, but it is in all respects yours. It may seem larger than you. Its uncertainties may make you question your decisions. Its complexity may prompt memories of simpler days, but none of this lasts. Because over your shoulder, what you've left behind will always tell a different story. Always remind you that you could have stayed home. You could have remained and accepted things as they were, dreamt about what might be. But rather than wait for time to expire and take your power into the ground like most ultimately do, you took to the sky. You let the stars, the infinite world beyond the horizon guide you, and as much as you decided to be here, this path chose you. It chose you to make something new where there was once nothing. To exchange breath for the first time with an atmosphere conducive to your greatness. You did not know it was there the whole time, and how could you have? It wasn't visible to any naked eye. It wasn't accessible to the common man, but it's here now because you said yes. So please hold on to that courage, because it's everything. The difference between accepting the now and rewriting history is belief. Belief in a tomorrow that is different from today. And as you make your way into this darkness, be proud. As you enter that which most wouldn't dare to confront, hold your head high when you falter, stumble, when the ground under you begins to shake. Believe not only in your pursuit, but in your resilience. Life remains cold and dark until we find the courage to do something about it. Until we step out of the shadows. See, you aren't escaping the emptiness you're leaving behind. No, you are the one who will give that emptiness life. The maker of a new universe. You are the architect of light. I was walking to my apartment last week, and I had a realization. Made my way across the street, looked up at the 7th floor of my building where I live, and the elevator there is obnoxiously slow, right? And being someone that hates waiting, I've come to realize that I can actually make it to my door in the same amount of time, if not a little bit quicker, by taking the stairs. But that particular night, as I looked up, maybe because it was late and the stairway lights were more visible than I'd ever seen them, it felt for the first time like a big deal. It was the first time since I'd been there that I felt annoyed with having to climb those steps. It was the first time I'd ever really seen or examined or thought about the gap between where I start and where I finish every time I take those steps. Usually I just go, right? It's just one step at a time, no production. It's not a chore. It's how I get home. It's how I skip waiting 2 minutes for that elevator. 30 seconds up. Slips by in the blink of an eye. Sometimes things just come to you at the perfect time, right? I needed to be reminded of that at this point in my life. Some big projects coming up, and I'm making an effort to pivot, push harder than I've ever have, right? Things sometimes feel bigger than they really are, more complex than they need to be. And I believe this was life telling me the only way to lose is to be intimidated by the top of those stairs, by the road to be traveled. I've done things in my life that felt crazy or complex from the outside looking in. But every time I just kept going, focused on the task in front of me, the thing I need, sure enough, presents itself. It appears. It may be that simply going is the ultimate strength. That when you don't give yourself the opportunity to look up in awe or bow down to something's perceived stature, you outrun its grasp. When you stop looking up at the top flight and focus everything you have on the actual ascent, those demons, they don't get a seat at your table. They can only watch as you go. And I find it humorous that perhaps the greatest gift we possess is the ability to think, yet 99% of the time we don't get where we want to go. It's because, well, we've thought too much. It's amazing what we can do when we let go of the ifs and the maybes and the over-analysis. when we trust ourselves to adjust, to grow, to learn, break, and change the rules, then I would propose, when you feel like your feet are stuck to the ground, like you haven't moved in too long, like you're wondering what you've missed, perhaps it's worth examining whether you're spending far too much time looking up and not nearly enough moving forward. Whether you're staring in awe of something you've already climbed, you're rationalizing another route, taking yourself away from where you need to be simply because you forgot your power. The power to move, to go, to test, experiment, evolve. The ability to climb. Who cares how far or how much? Who cares what you don't have? You do have another step, another day, another choice. Don't think yourself out of a dream that can be made one step at a time. Don't let the lack of a finish line prevent you from moving towards it. See, some things require strategy, introspection, a map, a plan. And some require that we just shut off the internal dialogue and trust ourselves to go. So as we fly through this game of life, let's find the courage to control that which we can and let go of that which we can't. To see what we need and disregard what we don't. Let's remember that human beings are capable of the extraordinary. Things that the courageous never got the privilege of marveling over or bowing down to because they weren't on the outside looking in like everyone else. They weren't screaming about the odds. They were in the chaos, in the thick of war, building, moving, creating, apparently too ignorant to know that each swing of their hammer was building everyone else's impossible.